Okay, gang. Hey, want to say hi to everybody? Looks like it's in sync. Oops, there's going to be a bit of an echo because I forgot to turn off the volume when I was syncing that stuff. Sorry about that. Um, Let me know that you can hear me, okay? And we'll get going. So I'll just kind of wait a little bit. It's 30 seconds in or so. Hopefully you can hear okay. All right, not getting any feedback, so I don't know if anybody can hear me. I might have it. Blocked. Oh, okay. Thanks, Frank. Appreciate the feedback there. Um, okay. Hey, it looks like we're going to get back up here. Excellent. So, yeah, I was all set to do sort of a funky blues improv, and Neal Peart died. I got the news. Real sad, huh? I guess he was battling cancer for a while, and it's a bummer. He was only 67. So I figured, we'd do a little bit here, and Matt even emailed me and said, "Hey, could you do a little tribute?" So I thought I'd put something together. I was practicing something this morning, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to wait for a few more people to come on. Let me say hi to folks. We've only got 6 people on right now. Say hi to some folks. I see Garrett is on. Good to see you. And Ron Shack is on. TBA. Hey, I'm looking very studly. Thank you. Thank you. Garrett is on. Frank is on. I see. Elrondo, good to see you this fine morning. Jeremy James, hey, buddy. Good to see you. When you coming down for us to do one of these together? It'd be a lot of fun. We could jam to some blackberry smoke or something. Or have a blackberry smoke or something like that. PDM 49, hello. Good to see you on. Welcome. I saw Matt on earlier. I don't know if he's on. And Bobby Eberhardt was on. I don't know if he's still on. I think when I start the stream, people get kicked off or something. But anyway, welcome if you're still on. And Frederick Sampson, hello. Good to see you. McDon BR, afternoon to you. And anytime. All right. Sounds good. Well, why don't we, Jeremy, so why don't we plan on doing that and either like next week or the week after? It would have been good this week, but I'm going out of town. So anyway, we shall see. All right, well, AP, how are you doing? I'm a little bit nervous about this one, but we're going to go ahead with it anyway. I have a long drive ahead of me, so I'm going to start it out. And we're going to do a quick tribute to Neal. So here we go. Make sure that people can see. There we go. Oops, that's a little too low. Okay, here we go. Dang, that was a bitch. Oh, okay. Hey, sorry I didn't have time to learn the solo, so I just kind of improvised it. And anyway, whew. So that's one of my favorite Neil Peart songs for sure. And wow, what a great song! And a lot of fun to play that one. So I haven't dusted that one off since high school. It felt great to play it. Jeff Pekrivka, if you ever watch this live stream, that one was totally for you, buddy. That was totally for you. I really miss you, man. Okay. Anyway, so let's see. So thank you. Appreciate the love coming back. Thank you, TBA, Ron, El Rondo, Savvy. Yeah, I got so carried away on those squealies, I forgot to play the rest of the part. I was so proud of myself for doing that second one. I forgot the next part. So anyway, uh, that was that. So I wasn't even planning to have this live stream, and then I was planning to have it. I said, I have some time to do, and or to do it, and why don't I center this again? I have some time to do it, and you know, um, and then Neal Peart died, so then we did this. I was going to do some other blues, but maybe that'll wait. Anyways, thank you, PDM. Thank you, P. Uh, so let's talk Neal Peart. I mean, YYZ has always been one of my favorites. Though I don't have that much information on him. I did a little bit of looking this morning. Thank you, Garrett. Uh, he was really, I mean, he was clearly one of the premier drummers, rock drummers in of classic rock. After Bonham and Keith Moon, he's really up there for sure. Maybe Mick Fleetwood. Anyway, so many good things, and he just moves the song along so well. I mean, obviously, Bruford obviously was a huge rock player, but yeah, is that right? So Neil had a tragic life. I didn't know that. I do know that he was not Rush's original drummer. He was originally, it was originally somebody else, and I think he joined them in '74. Was that, I wonder, was that when they started to sort of turn progressive? Because Rush was, early on, they were kind of a cream compy. And, all of a sudden they got kind of progressive, and that became their style. He was so integral to it, really. So, what are some favorite Neil Peart songs of yours? Though, I don't have that many Rush stories. Like I said, the only Rush story I have is my buddy Jeff Pekrivka. His dad, he was a buddy I played with in a band, in several bands during the high school time. He was a great bass player, really good, and just a fun guy. And he got me into C Rush. I had these executive boxes that we sat in, so it was cushy. And it was, I hate to say this, but it was one of the worst concerts I had seen up to that time. It was probably a good concert for some people, but for me, I always like to go and see a band play things that they don't play on the record, and Rush played exactly what was on the record, and it kind of bummed me out a little bit. But uh, that's just me. The sound was excellent, and maybe it would have been better just to be in the crowd, but it was still a great time, and fond memories for that. But I remember being a little bit disappointed. I think in retrospect, I'm not disappointed at all. They were just fantastic. Let's see. So that's all I got on Neil. It's not really Neil Peart. It's just Rush. So Geert says a tragic later life. His daughter and then his wife both died within months of each other in the '90s. That's terrible. He liked BMWs. Okay. Did you know Rush went in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I did see Rush in the Hall of Fame, and Alex Lifeson's speech is pretty hilarious. uh, and he lost his first wife and daughter. You're kidding me. Dang. Oh wow. So wow, that is amazing. Yeah, strong spirit for sure. Strong spirit. I would have liked to see them again because I think I would have been much more charitable had I seen them, another 20 years on or 5 years on. I think that was in their Subdivisions tour. Yeah. So what are some of you? Yeah, that's right. He also wrote the lyrics to Rush. So he had some of the more esoteric lyrics of the time, for sure. Um, Living in the limelight, the universal dream. What is this? Something about the cage? I don't know. I can't remember it too well, but really nice stuff. Really nice stuff. Yeah, they all seemed very humble. I don't know about Geddy Lee actually. I haven't seen any interviews, but Alex Lifeson and Neal Peart seem very humble people, and you gotta like that. You gotta like that a lot. Yeah, Limelight's one of my faves, and I think that's one of the better Neal Peart showpieces too. That super huge ending on Limelight is really amazing, for sure. So here are some of the ones that I had. Now and El Rondo says Rush was music just for niche people back in the days in Germany. I think they cracked popularity in the United States with moving pictures because they had Tom Sawyer and Limelight, and then maybe Red Barchetta also, and then they had subdivisions, and that had New World Man on it. Oh, and they also got a lot of airplay with Spirit of the Radio too on Permanent Waves. So I guess just before that they got it on Permanent Waves. They got Spirit of the Radio and maybe one other one, maybe Fly By Night or something. But then they really broke on a moving picture. Can you imagine Tom Sawyer without Neal Peart? It wouldn't have worked. It just wouldn't have worked. Same with Limelight. Same with YYZ. I mean, that kind of stuff just wouldn't work. And he moved the songs forward. So the ones that I had kind of written out as really showpieces of theirs that really were, that are the things that stick in my mind are YYZ, of course, Xanadu. I love that one. And I think Neal Peart's so integral. Limelight, Tom Sawyer. I happen to think, New World Man, it's kind of a poppy song, but think about how it moves so much based on the drums and the bass as well. The drums and bass just move that song along and really energize it. And then the last one that I have written down on mine that I love is Jacob's Ladder. So that's one of my faves of always. Free Will, I used to crank up. Oh, that's a great one. Yeah. So I was just writing them down quickly. So what are some of your faves? Geert says 2112. Okay. David Smith says Neal was a big Buddy Rich fan. Well, a lot of people were in those days for sure, and very few people would take him that seriously, I guess, as Neal did. His playing seriously. I think he was probably a horrible human being, Buddy Rich. But his drumming, that doesn't, to me, that doesn't take, he wasn't Michael Jackson like horrible. So that's a different thing. So let's see, Neal Peart, James Dickinson. Hey, James. Along with his bandmates, has strong work ethics. Yeah, didn't get caught up in all the excesses of rock and roll. Yeah, I think kind of like not Alex Van Halen, Michael Anthony of Van Halen. He was a family man, I think, from the beginning. Married his high school sweetheart. Let's see, La Via Strangito. Yeah, I mean, that's in some ways that's an Alex Lifeson showcase piece, which I'm actually not very fond of that sort of playing when you're really just playing super fast riffs. I mean, hats off to Alex for doing it, but it's not musically it's not my favorite. But yeah, it's good stuff for sure. And it's all relative, right? Geert says, I'm sure that Ginger Baker would not have rated Neal either. Oh, yes. Geert saying Buddy Rich probably would not have returned the compliment to Neal Peart. No doubt he would not have. Although he probably had more respect for the music that Rush did, like YYZ, than he would have for Glenn Campbell. But yes, I'm sure he would have said it was kind of wasted, which I do not agree with. Ginger Baker would not have either. I didn't know that. I don't know anything about Ginger Baker other than that he recently died, and he's also a good drummer. I personally don't put him in the same place as Neal, but that's probably just because I know Rush more than I know Cream. And let's see. All members of Rush are very down to earth and connected. That's great to know. Yep. I see, Garrett. I didn't know that about Ginger Baker, that he was mean spirited. Yeah. Buddy Rich talking about Glenn Campbell. Honestly, one of the he was a great musician. Glenn Campbell did all sorts of styles, all sorts of musics, including jazz. And anyway, blame the guy for making a gazillion dollars because he also had an amazing voice. Oh well. All right. So last time I saw him in concert, they did such a complete show with SCTV references and all. Oh my gosh. All right, that my back started to hurt sitting on the bleachers for so long. Wow. I didn't know that. I mean, of course, they did the Bob and Doug McKenzie stuff, and Bob and Doug McKenzie had that big hit with Strange Brew, right? Um, and but they were on SCTV. I don't know how much Rick Moranis was. He was just on a little bit, but then they had the big thing. But I used to watch SCTV all the time. Count Floyd movies. Oh, great stuff. And who's the guy? Elf. Who's the guy who's the fisherman who hated the taste of fish? What was that guy? The outdoorsman who hated the outdoors. I can't. That was John Candy. Was the man, but I can't remember. Take Off, eh? Yeah, that's right. Take Off to the Great White North. Glenn from the Wrecking Crew. Yeah, that's right. Glenn Campbell was in the Wrecking Crew. That is true. Several of the members. Is that true, James? The members of Rush, their parents survived the Holocaust. That's very interesting. So, my father-in-law is a Holocaust survivor, and he's still living. He was very, very young, but he's a Holocaust survivor. And yeah, it's different. Very, very different. I think I'm going to change. It looks like I'm getting some havoc with the sun outside. It's going down, so I might change the exposure here. If I can. Let me see if I can configure the video. Oh, the sun's coming out again, so I don't need to. All right, well, there we go. Okay. Well, anyway, and all the members of Rush survived growing up in Toronto. Geddy Lee's folks are. That's pretty funny, Garrett. Most surreal episode of The Fishing Musician had Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics on it. Oh, yeah. I think I remember that one. The one with Wendy O. Was that the one when she came on with a whipped cream top and she had a guitar and she chainsawed it in half with that mohawk? Oh my God. That was really bizarre. Hey, G-Mac. Welcome. Welcome. You got on just in time. I don't think I'm going to keep going for too long because I have about a 6-hour drive ahead of me. I haven't packed yet, and I've got a little bit more work to do before I go. But I did want to just kind of have a short one today and hopefully have a little bit of fun. All right. Yeah, that was it. Well, anyway, we're talking about Glenn Campbell now for a moment. We were talking about Neal Peart, and yeah, Glenn was one of my faves. Glenn Campbell, and this is no joke. This is honest to God. Glenn Campbell was the first person that I really loved his music. I was probably a 4 or 5-year-old. My dad had these classical records, and then he had these. These really kind of shitty stuff that was like, the New York Philharmonic plays today's hits kind of stuff. And occasionally he had like this collection, and it had real stuff. And one of them was, it had 3 Jimmy Webb songs. It had Galveston, it had Wichita Lineman, and it had one other one. It might have been Time I Get to Phoenix, and it might have been Gentle on My Mind. I can't remember. But the Galveston and Wichita lineman, especially Galveston, became like my favorite song. And then I talked to my cousin, and he said, "Oh, you like that? Well, let me play you something else because it's just like it." And he played me The Who, which was totally different. But then I loved that. So that's how I got into rock and roll, was because of that. Anyway, true story. True story. But I love Glenn Campbell. That was before I played guitar or knew anything about how good he was of a guitar player. Looks like it's starting to go down again. So I'm going to try to configure the video, put a little bit more exposure on, or less exposure. Oh, that's the wrong way. There we go. All right, that's better. That is better. Sorry about that. Let's see. Steve Lukather has some fascinating interviews. Hey, there's a new book out on Steve Lukather, or fairly new. I should probably read that. He went through some. All those guys had so many demons, but it seems like Neal's were more real, less self-induced. Ugh. Tell you, the sun's just coming in and out. Ugh. All right, it's coming in and out so much. I'm going to turn on the automatic exposure. This may make the sync go out. It may make the sync go out because the camera has to use overhead on that then. But what do you want? Let's see. So what am I going to listen to? Savvy Symbiont, hi. Neal was a bona fide percussionist. Yeah, he did. He brought it all. He brought it all. I agree. Elf says, what you going to listen to? I don't know. I was thinking about listening to a book on tape. I was thinking about, and I'm a history buff, so I was thinking about listening to some Greek history, but I don't know. Maybe I should listen to some songs. Let's see. Steve Lukather, Glenn Campbell, great playing terrible songs. I don't know. I don't think they were all terrible. Some of them were really, really good. Some of them were not. Just like a lot of pop artists. I mean, hit and miss. Jimmy Webb songs, I thought, yeah, I agree, TBA. I thought the Jimmy Webb songs, most of them were most of the ones that he did, that collaboration was a good one. Let's see, David Smith saying he heard Neal, his main aim was to be the best musician he could, not sell records. That's pretty damn good. Rhinestone Cowboy, yeah. All right. Glenn Campbell and Alice Cooper were good friends. Is that right, James? That doesn't seem right. I believe you, but that just seems weird to me. Alice Cooper played golf with Nixon. Yeah, well, Alice Cooper. Anyway. Marty Robbins, GMAC. Yeah, Marty Robbins, pretty damn awesome. He's a great bluegrass player. I like Marty Robbins is... oh, no, I was thinking Marty Stewart. Sorry. He had some hits as well. I love Willie. I think Willie's good. He's good. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Mark, did I hear Martley Crue's already going on tour again? Another final tour that didn't last so long. I wouldn't know about Motley Crue, honestly. It was Motley Crue's one of the... I hate to say this. I'm sure they have a few good songs. I'm not going to diss them. But those big hair bands, that was what made me quit playing guitar. Partly because they were, a lot of that stuff was really good. And I can't imagine, and I didn't like the music. And especially stuff like Yngwie Malmsteen. I didn't like the music. I recognized that was where guitar was going at the time. And I thought, oh my God, I'd have to play so much and practice so much music that I don't even like to be good. Forget it. So I didn't have the imagination to continue and find stuff like, hold on for a few years and wait for Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden and all that, where I think, came back to stuff that I can listen to and enjoy again. But anyway, that's just me. So Motley Crue, I always kind of put plus I look terrible in spandex. All right. But, it's funny, looking back, every once in a while I'll hear like a Motley Crue song. I'll be like, yeah, that's pretty good. Or Rat or something like that. And I'll be like, hey, that's actually pretty good. So I should give them a try. Uh, Def Leppard is one of those groups where I listened to in retrospect, and I saw them, and I was like, man, this is actually good. I like it. Let's see. Following the footsteps of the Who. Yeah, John Gates running into Alice. He seemed like a good guy. Alice Cooper was only a weird guy on camera or stage. Yeah. So, it's interesting. He was a bit before my time in Detroit, but I grew up in Detroit, and Alice Cooper's a Detroit guy. And the people that I knew who were Detroit musicians, and who had known Alice Cooper when he was Vince, they just thought he was a joke. They didn't think he was a very good musician. They had no respect for him at all. Um, I thought a lot of his early music was pretty good, but yeah, they had no respect whatsoever. So anyway, that's Alice Cooper for you. But I think he must be a pretty reasonably smart guy. I think his off the cuff he seems to be. He's obviously got it together a lot more than somebody like Ozzy. I think it was an act with Alice Cooper. Listen to Howard Stern comes again. Everybody looked terrible in spandex. Well, the women were okay. Yes, G Mac. Okay. Yes. Where were yoga shorts or yoga pants when we were in high school? Huh. Okay. Yeah. Geared. Yeah, spandex doesn't go so well in plaid. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, I should play more John Cougarty. I mean, Cougarty, John Fogerty, John Cougar, John Fogerty. Wow, I'm hybriding them. John Fogerty because he always he always wore that plaid. Savvy Symbiont says I tried spandex in the '80s. Now all the women are yoga pants everywhere. Okay. A Queen video. So Queen, yeah, Queen. I think started. Did they have spandex? El Rondo. Maybe they were one of the first to wear spandex and mascara and all that kind of stuff. I mean that was obviously part of their image was Queen and you know and Freddie playing that up. But anyway, Vixen. Motley Crue's going to tour with Def Leppard and Poison. Is that right, Elf? Well, maybe I'll have to see him. Maybe I'll have to see him and I'll have to eat all my words. Yeah. Worth it, right? Okay. It's worth it. The guys had cucumbers taped to their legs. Just like in Spinal Tap. You got to remember not to put the aluminum foil around it, right? Uh, David Smith says, look at Ritzy Kotzen now. Hey, what band was Kotzen in? Yeah, Winery Dogs are actually, that's good stuff. I mean, he's a good player. He's a great player. Good touch. My dog's going crazy. He sees somebody. Anytime he sees another dog out of the window, he goes crazy. Or she goes crazy. Love Poison, Ron Shack says. CC DeVille. I just don't know. I just didn't listen to that stuff. Neil Young is a Plaid fan too. Glam rock in the UK. That's true. I mean, glam rock was around. So glam rock, they would have had stuff like that, wearing mascara and all that kind of stuff. That's right. The Sweet. Yes. I think, Geert mentions The Sweet. The Sweet were the first, that was sort of my first independent choice of an album that I spent my own money on. I mean, truly independent. I don't know how old I was, maybe in fourth grade or something like that, but I've been listening to basically all the stuff that my cousin wanted me to listen to. Elton John, the Beatles, the Who, uh, uh, Cat Stevens, the Stones, and oh, I'm missing somebody big that he was really into. Bowie. So that's where I heard Bowie. But the Sweet, Fox on the Run came out, and I just loved the beginning with that weird, sort of sound, and then okay, and the echo. I like that, and then Ballroom Blitz and No You Don't. A lot of good songs on that album. Desolation Boulevard. Actually, I don't think Fox on the Run's on that one. I think it was a single. Yeah. Oh, hold on. My daughter is going to the movies, and I want to say goodbye to her. She's heading out. So hold on just a second. Okay, bye. You want to try it? Okay. Yep. All right. See you. Yeah, I wanted to say goodbye to my daughter before she's going to see Star Wars with her grandpa, and I wanted to say goodbye to her before I head off. It's Santa Mark. Yeah, yeah, Ballroom Blitz. Yeah, it is great. What year was I born? Says DT. I was born in 1966. So I'm 53 years old, soon to be 54. I'm hoping I make it. My dad died at 53. So I got a few more months to go. I got 2 more months to go. 2 more months. If I can make it, then I'll beat my dad's age. Okay. Actually, I already have because he died young in 53. He died early in that. Let's see. Yeah, don't forget, Garrett, email me. Okay, yeah. And ML is on. Good to see you. Good to see you. ML, I apologize. I'm going to end it early today. I haven't yet ended it, but I'm going to end it a little bit earlier. But if you want to, I did YYZ early on. If you want to take a look at that, see how it goes as a tribute to Neal Peart. So where am I going? Thank you, James. I'm headed to, and now I don't mean any disrespect here, but I'm headed to wonderful, beautiful Hartford. Scenic Hartford. Scenic Hartford. I've been there so many times. It's for work. So I travel for work. I seem pretty healthy. Well, thank you, GMAC. I'm trying to get healthier. I'm trying to eat a little bit better. I got on this. I put a couple of guitars up on Reverb, and I'm selling. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt. I put a couple of guitars up on Reverb, and I had to weigh them, and my stupid scale wouldn't register. So I stood on the scale. I was holding the guitars, and I was like, "Oh man, Christmas really did its, or Christmas time and holiday time really did its, its stuff on me." I put on 5 pounds easy, but anyway, so trying to get out to the gym and just eat a little bit better. But yeah, good stuff. Hey, nobody's commenting on. I don't know if anybody noticed, but nobody commented on my pin. Oh, because it's upside down. Oh well. I have a hard time keeping it up. Oops, that was not a way to say it. I have a hard time keeping it up. The pin. This. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's a thing I've been doing lately. I wear one of these at work, and it's just kind of fun. I've got about 18 of these little guitar pins, so it's kind of fun. All right. Let's see. Hey, see you, Frank. Good to see you. Always good to see you on. Mona Lisa. Okay. Long time not here. ML. Yeah, it's good to. Granddaughter's been keeping you busy. Well, that's a great excuse not to be on. Absolutely. That's first. That's first and last. First and last. Peace to Neal Peart and thoughts on his family, Alex and Getty. Yep, absolutely. Read How Not to Die by Michael Greger. You know what? Maybe I'll listen to that on the way to the to work or on the way down. That's a good idea, David. Or a PDM 49. Yeah, totally bad news about Neal. No, it's not a lapel mic. It's a guitar. It's a 335. This one's a 335. Let's see if I can take it off here. I don't know how much it will. Uh, it's hard to. I don't know if it will come in. Probably not. Oh, I've got to turn on the autofocus or the focus. Well, anyway, who cares? Who cares? It's a 335. My favorite guitar. So there you go. All right. Hey, Cloud. Good to see you. Happy 2020. 2020. Yeah. Dig the shirt top. Thank you. Yeah, I like it too. Straight from the Gibson for only 3,500. Yeah, I went authentic. I got it from Gibson. Garrett turned 57 a year ago. Okay. A few weeks ago. Happy birthday to you, belated, Garrett. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things when the people that you remember as a kid and they were young and vital and they die, right? And they die not of like Jimi Hendrix did, but of others. Let's see. So Elf says, Mark, did I ever listen to that White Mansion Civil War concept album of Waylon Jennings? I didn't. I didn't. White Mansions. Okay. So that's a good idea. I'm writing that down. White Mansions. I'm going to download it because I'm looking to download that. I got to download a bunch of stuff and then cancel my Audible. I'm never using Audible anymore. I used to use Audible all the time, but it's like I have so many credits. I just got to use up all the credits and be off it. Okay. Ron was born in 59. Okay, Ron, you got a few years on me. Yeah, it's from the custom shop. That's right. The lapel pin's from the custom shop. Uh-huh. All right. Well, hey, gang. Hey, um, just I guess before I head off, what else are you guys seeing on some of the other channels? Are you seeing any trends? I haven't been really following the trends. ML says the first Rush concert was a backup for Styx. Yeah, it's funny how sometimes the backup bands are so much better than the bands that you see. I'm not saying that was the case then, but I bet it was. Anyway, I forget who I saw once as the backup. They were so much better. Oh, it was Rory Gallagher. I saw Rory Gallagher. He was a backup, and I was like, holy shit, who is this guy? He's awesome. Does the plastic affect the tone of the pin? Born in 57. 1976. All right. That's another great Jimmy Webb song, The Highwaymen, Willie Whalen, etc. Okay. Seen a lot of ads. I know. Doesn't that suck? I mean, YouTube is really going nuts on the ads. All of my videos now, like I monetize, and they used to have these skippable ads. Now you got to skip all of them because they'll put in like 3 or 4 ads in the front if you don't actively skip. It's bad. Anyway, not that I should probably say the opposite. Hey gang, well you should watch all the ads that are on my channel, but honestly I don't care. So it is what it is. Ad blocker. Really? Firefox and they'll block YouTube ads. That's pretty interesting. Okay. Floyd Rose has a new guitar. A guitar or a trem? David. Floyd Rose has a new guitar. Since football is over, Mitch Heyman. Hey, Mitch. Good to see you, buddy. You can start watching you. Okay, great. That's awesome. Thank you. Well, I don't know if you've been on for a while. I'm actually going to sign off a little bit early. Although, geez, 40 minutes. It's still a fairly long one. Yeah, so I guess the last thing I was going to say is I've decided to put my L9 amp on reverb. I just don't use it anymore, and it's an awesome amp. For those of you who don't know, Gibson made a series of amps. They were not cheap. They were solid state in the 70s, and they are incredible amplifiers. B.B. King, Ray Flackey, and a few other people used them religiously. B.B. King used the L9. It's got it was the absolute top of the top. One 15-inch speaker, so it has an amazingly big sound. And check it out online if you haven't seen them. they're sleeper amps for sure. But I just can't. It was a war horse for me. I used it gigging all the time. It has casters to roll it around because it's so big. But I just can't lug it around anymore. So I'm going to get rid of it. If somebody wants a vintage amp, they can pick it up. I'm mentioning it to people not because oh geez, hey, buy this amp. But if you're into vintage, I'm going to put it up in a few days. So you might want to check that up or drop me a line or whatever. But the main reason I wanted to say it is I just can't. I just can't deal with those anymore. They're just too big. And frankly, the loudness was always overkill anyway. I'm either miking it on a PA if I need the loudness because I'm playing a bigger room and the room has a PA and a good one, or it's too loud for the room anyway, and I don't need to turn it anywhere near to full. So, it's a 100-watt head, Celestion speaker, or maybe it was Electro Voice. I think it was a Celestion 15-inch speaker. Good stuff. All right. Let's see. DT says, I like RJ Ronquillo. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I've seen him. Yeah, he's good. I like him too. He's got a good attitude. I like him. RJ's travel blogs. I didn't know he did travel gig blogs. That's good that he does. GMAC bought an RG. An 86. Oh, that's a good. Those early ones are there. The early S style guitars from Ibanez are really high quality too. I think the later ones are not as high quality, but if you can get one pre 2000, they're all good. I mean, they're not all good, but they could be good. RGs are of course good. I just love something about that super thin body on the S's is just gets me. Let's see. Cloud Sky just says Gibson needed a fresh sale boost, made some new old again. Yeah, yeah. So is Corey. So TBA, what do you mean by Corey? Corey Congilio? Is that it? Hey Tom. Hey Mr. Thomas V. Good to see you. DT said he stopped the tour. Okay, that's too bad. Yeah, Embry. Yeah, I have a Lab Series. That's right, Lab Series. Good stuff. L9 Lab Series amp. RJ does great gear vids. Yeah, it seems like he does. From what I saw, he does some pretty good gear vids. Everything I do is on the computer in the Helix. I don't have the Helix. I should do that. I don't know if I know. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that yet. Maybe when I have some time, I'll do that. Anyone bought any Brett Papa courses? Oh, geez, that reminds me. We're just at our final stage. So Phil and I are finishing up our stuff. We have to set up we're setting up a Facebook group, a private Facebook group, and where we're going to offer one-on-one stuff and lots of things like that. But our first course is going to come out, and we'll have some early bird pricing on it where you get a bunch of other free stuff. And yeah. So that'll be fun. That's the first time I'll ever try and sell something directly, which is kind of interesting. Hopefully that's going to come in February. But we're putting it up on Teachable. I haven't been up there on that, so it's all new to me. And it's been great collaborating with somebody in New Zealand. It's amazing, right? Halfway across the world, and we can still collaborate. And we're doing 1970, so it's 1970s rock, and we're going to do a series, and we're doing 1970s. So very in-depth lessons on the songs that we do, backing tracks, tab, professional tab, not my scribble tab, and a bunch of other stuff too. So yeah, it'll be there. Anyway, that's coming. I'll let you know about that for sure when it's out. Let's see. It just reminded me because I like Brett Papa. I like his style of play, and he used to have some really good people on. El Rondo says he has a little Bugera amp. That's pretty cool. Like that. Let's see. Brett's stuff is great. Shows cage shapes and licks so you can play any. Okay. Yeah, I agree. David Smith. he has great tone. Brett Papa has great tone on his things, and he has good touch for the sort of like the classic rock stuff. He has great touch, good touch. Ben Eller, I like Ben Eller's attitude. I mean, he covers music that I don't really particularly like that much, but I like his attitude. He's a fun guy. I like him. Why you suck at guitar is pretty funny. He's a good guitar player, obviously too. Um, Trying to learn theory, and it's making my mind fried. Well, take a step back from theory every once in a while. I think theory, you really have to balance it out. Try a little bit, and then try and apply it. I think that's the way. So TBA actually, or somebody sent me I think it was TBA, sent me an email asking about showing improvisation, and we can do it for sure in a series of videos. But I think a lot of times, at least there's a lot to it, and there's not too much to it, and so we'll try and convey that. So much of it is sort of like getting in the water when you're swimming. The first time you just jump in, you still have to jump in. You still have to jump fully in. You may not be able to do the backstroke or the butterfly, but maybe you only can do the dog paddle, but you have to jump in all the way. And theory is kind of like learning the different strokes to help you go better in the pool, but you have to always get fully in the pool. You can't theoretically learn the backstroke. You have to get in the pool to do it. So, anyway, let's see here. Getting behind. I can corner the market on the guitar pins. Yeah, I'm serious, dude. Let me show you. I got all of these different guitar pins. These are all different. These are all different guitar pins, and these are all different. So I try wearing different ones every day. I picked them up. I found them at an antique store for $1 each, and so I picked up like 30 of them. Weather here. Oh, Dan, you're in Detroit, huh? That's cool. Where in Detroit? I grew up in Warren at 11 Mile and Shaner. That's where I grew up. Hudrio's good. Okay, let's see who else we're talking about. 15 minutes of Phil still going to do a live stream together. Elf, I'm not sure about that because it's tough. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. It's the time is so difficult. Yes, GMAC, I agree. The why you suck at guitar. That sort of marketing doesn't usually work. It's sort of like beatings will continue until morale improves, sort of thing. P. Thorne has one of the best tones, absolutely. Geert says I can't stand Brett's tone, but I like his playing. His tone is squash, screechy, and wannabe humbucker kind of thing. Huh. Okay. Hudrio's good. I like Hudrio. Some people like James. James, I like that too. Thank you, Ron. I will drive safe. I will do that. Maybe for you, not for me. It's easier to watch and show me how to play it. That's at TBA. Mark Zabel has some good stuff. Aw. Maybe for you, not for me. Aw. Is that what you mean, Mitch? That you can't learn from me? Aw. All right, Mike Hermans is the #1 sound channel. Mike Hermans. Don't know him. Is he the guy that does all the Beatles stuff? Let's see. I've been rewatching some of the classic Mark Zabel hairless years videos. Yes. Okay. Ideas by Cage soloing. Yeah. Well, I'm a fan of the Cage system. It's just one of those things, right? I mean, it's a question of stuff. Metro Detroit in Plymouth. Okay, I get you. I feel you, Dan. I've been there in many a Detroit winter. The weather is 60 degrees out in Ithaca today, but it's going to be dropping tomorrow. Stepdad speed. Oh. Geert says, I spent 11 years in the original Plymouth. Oh, is that right? You were in Massachusetts? Plymouth, Massachusetts. That's not the real original one. Plymouth, England, I guess. Sorry, Geert. All right, ML. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. All right, see you, PDM. See you to you. Okay. Oh, I see, Mitch. Got it. Well, I have a series that I've done on simple theory that you might enjoy. It's really super simple, and it's all about just applying little stuff. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do it and let me know if it works for you or doesn't. I also have one on playing the right notes. It's a series that is based on Cage, but it's based on three chords: a major chord, a minor chord, and a seventh chord, and that's it. It's 95% of what you need. All right. Mike Herman knows melody inside out. Okay. Hey, that's interesting. I see a message retracted. I didn't even know how you could do that. That's pretty interesting. There must be some way. All right. Uh, thank thank you, Mitch. I really appreciate that. Really nice. Really nice. Yeah, it's funny. I used to be a scale guy and modes guy, so I know that stuff. I don't know it as well as say a David Walliman or something like that, but I know it. And I just can't play that way anymore. And I just don't think it made me sound good. I think when I thought about it, things that way, it didn't help me. I had to really think about I had to really change the way I thought about things and view improvising as all about two things: chords and melody, and forget all the scale stuff. I had to really try and forget the scale stuff. And then once I did it all on that, then I tried to go back. And then I could start applying some of that other stuff, and I think it helped. But I think if you think about the harmony and the melody first, just that, and that makes such a big difference. Is that right, Ron? Steve Stein teaches. Steve Stein's a great teacher. Again, he's totally not my style. It seems like a lot of the stuff that he does is geared at speed playing and metal and all that. He's certainly got that look, but he knows he's clearly a good teacher. Hey, SPJ, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Lower mouse, front of the comment. Okay, that now I know. Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate that. All right, Paul Gilbert explains things without the BS. Paul Gilbert obviously knows music, and so when he explains things, he's explaining music. That's Paul Gilbert. He always comes up with stuff, I think, by he let music drive it. I saw one thing on his doing octave licks. This was from him. And let me see if I can just do it. I think let me turn off the reverb. He did a thing on doing licks in octaves, and he just basically, like, if you have a lick in, let's say you have a lick in A, you can just repeat that, and it's going to work in all those octaves, and you just have to remember the first note out of all those, and if you know where your octaves are, then it's going to sound good. So there's all sorts of things that you can play and just play an octave, and it's sort of like, when a piano player does it. And it's just one of those things that you can repeat or do a phrase, and if you find a motif that you like, you can repeat it over an octave, and it's a nice thing to do. It's something that the listener will hear, then they hear it again, and it's great. Anyway, I picked that up from Paul Gilbert, and lesson that he was teaching. I was like, why did I never think of that before? It's pretty obvious, but anyway. Thank you, Ember. Yes, absolutely. Melody and not modes. Yeah. If you think melody, if you think scales, you're gonna lose it. I mean, now that doesn't mean when you're practicing that you can't do that. When you're practicing, you can use theory, but when you're playing, you can't be thinking, what mode am I going to play? What scale am I going to play? What lick am I going to play? You have to be thinking in your head, what's the sound I'm aiming for? And at most, what's the note I want to end up on? That sort of thing. But if you're starting to think about like, oh, this lick is going to go here, and am I going to play? Music moves too fast for you, and it won't sound right. Yeah, yeah. Arpeggios. Again, I mean, I like arpeggios, but yeah, you got to be careful to not just play them. When you're soloing, it's more about rhythm than it is about, or it's just as much about rhythm as it is about about the notes that you hit. It's not just about playing the right notes. It's about playing notes in a time that makes sense. In fact, Charlie Christian used to say that above all else, that was the thing. If you play the right rhythm, it won't matter what notes you play. Listen to some of Django's great solos, and listen to Carlos Santana, or listen to Mike Campbell. A lot of times they played single notes, and it sounded great because they made the rhythm interesting. So anyway, yeah. So Geert, it says that's fine if you can translate what you hear in your head to the fretboard, but not all of us have that ability. Right. So while that's true, it's important to try and work on that ability. It's really important. And a lot of it comes together. It doesn't mean that you can't learn a scale, uh, but in playing that scale, you do have to, when you're playing over that scale, it's not just playing up and down the scale, it's kind of playing and listening to very carefully how the notes relate to each other and what are the sounds of those notes. So that when you are trying to play a lick, then it's going to work. And and one of the things, Garrett, if you can't hear it in your head, you're never going to be able to play it. You have to be able to think of something that's there. I mean, there are certainly things. There are certainly things that just kind of come out, and it's sort of like saying in a conversation, or you know what I'm saying, and things like that. Like some licks, like for me, I played them so many times that they just come out. That kind of thing. In order to play it fast, your fingers have to know where to go. But to be able to play, that sort of thing, and know that that's an A note, there's just a lot of things that come together in improv. And I think people run before they walk, and scales aren't always the thing that really helps. Knowing more scales and more theory isn't always what's going to help you. So a little bit of theory, a bit of practice, and application. And if you need to write down your solos and work them out in the beginning, that's maybe a good thing. And try one note per measure. That's another good thing, is try one note per measure or something like that. Right. Phrasing is the secret. And space. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, nobody's saying that it's easy, and it's not. I still have way far to go. Way far to go. And when I put myself into a different genre, I'm not there. It's just like learning a new language, right? If I go to Sweden, the first week, I'm just listening to people and just saying very few things. And but after a week, I can start talking a little bit and saying what I want for lunch, and saying I'm tired, or it's ready for bed, or let's go, catch the train. But the first few days, I'm just mostly listening to people. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Robbie. I think if you're going to take a certain approach and it's late in life and you haven't, or if you're not a beginner, right? If you're going to music school, like you're going to Berkeley, just try and soak it all in. That's great. You got the time. Or if you're a teenager, you got the time. But if you're older and you want to play really good notes, think about the chords very strongly. And think about the melody of this. If it's a song that the singer is singing, think about the melody. And that's a great way to develop your ear, is to not get the music for something, but like listen to a song that you like and try and play what the singer is singing, right? Because you can probably sing that back, whatever that song is. Somebody was, TBA loves the song Heaven, right, by Bryan Adams. So if you can sing that, find the notes on the guitar, and you're going a long way into developing your ear. That's huge. That's huge. And your phrasing will improve. Your phrasing will improve a lot. And then at the end of the day, if you can write it all down and then say, where does this fit in with the chords? What are these notes that are the chords? Then you can sort of back in to chord tones, and it's going to be more meaningful to you because you did it. Because you did it. I think that's a great technique. Very few people do it. But, Guthrie Govan, he's a guy that can play all sorts of different melodies back, And I've often mentioned this, that, I attribute a lot of my improvement as a guitar player to doing, when I played bluegrass. And that bluegrass is all about playing fiddle tunes, like Baby Bumblebee. Or it was called Arkansas Traveler, but we learned it as Baby Bumblebee. Sitting on a baby bumblebee, won't my mama be so proud of me? I'm sitting on a baby bumblebee. I know it sounds stupid, but learn it. Learn it on the guitar. Then that's one more melody and you had to figure it out. And then look at the chords and see how those notes match the chords. And you will have done it all on yourself, and you will have used your ears, and you will not have used scales. You'll have backed into scales from real music that you know. Real strong. Ron Shack says practice call and response. Oh yeah. Well, that's another thing, right? The guitar imitating. If you want to play blues, you gotta realize that the guitar is imitating singers, and the singers in the blues are imitating preachers, and preachers do that call and response. It's a thing. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, David. I mean, it's easy for me to say, right? Because I didn't do it that way at all. When I was in high school, I learned all the modes, and I learned the major scale. So I've got that back there, and I learned the harmonized major scale. I learned all the basic harmonies. So I did all that. It wasn't till I was older and tried to play like swing records. I tried to play swing, and I totally failed at that. If you think about, okay, now this chord, I'm going to play Mixolydian over this, and now this chord, I'm going to play Dorian over this, and I'm going to play Ionian over this, and Lydian over this, and then I come back to Mixolydian over this. Oh, and now there's a key change. You can't keep up, and it can't be that difficult. It cannot be that difficult. I don't care what anybody says. When George Benson is improvising, he is not thinking Lydian, Mixolydian. No way. It can't be that difficult. So, and same with Carlos Santana. I'm not saying everybody has to be solfege, but has to be able to do solfege. But it cannot be that difficult. So I had to go back and just find stuff that works. And the thing that I found that worked was playing the chord. If you play the chord, and I'm not even talking about the arpeggio. You can play the arpeggio, which is the notes of the chord. But if you just play the chord, it works every time. It never doesn't work. And then you start playing rhythm because you have some confidence that all of those notes are going to work. And then you can start playing rhythm that's different. And then you start to realize all the notes around them work as well. As long as I end on the right place, as long as I end on chord tone, it does not matter. I could play the cage system. I could play the Mixolydian scale. I could play the Lydian scale. I could play just chromatic notes. It will work if I end up at the right place. It will, guaranteed. So if I have the melody that I'm aiming for, and I know what that note's going to sound like at the very end, I get it. Now I miss it sometimes because I'm not as good as Carlos Santana or George Benson at hitting that right note at the end. But I do, or Robin Ford, or Larry Carlton, who's my favorite player. But I do know at the end, if I end up on a chord tone, it will sound good. That's what I know. All right. Let's see. Mitch Heyman. I highly recommend Brian Kelly's Zombie Guitar, free access program site, Zombie Guitar. Okay, I'll check that out. Jerry Garcia used that approach. Okay. And Neil Young. Okay. Yeah, it's not going to make you a technical wizard, by the way. It won't make you a technical wizard. But again, going back to Guthrie Govan, who is a technical wizard. That guy can play anything, and knows what he's doing. A lot of people think he's an incredible player. I do. I do think he's a great player. But anyway, so I'll just leave it at that. I certainly can't touch it, put a candle to him. But that's what he says is the big hole, is he'll ask people to play a melody and they don't know how to play it. They can't play any melodies because they haven't tried to learn them. And he said that's the key to his getting better, was just he forced himself to, he heard something and he said, I'm going to play that. And he didn't look up the music, he just played it. It takes a long time, but the more you do it, the better you get. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so Mitch is asking a couple of questions. Yes, El Rondo, what you can sing, you can play. That is true. That is true. All right. Mr. Thomas V, I'm going to move off the theory and get off my soapbox. But anyway, I promise I will do a series of videos on that where it's a little less ranting and rambling and hopefully helpful. I try to be helpful. I'm not always. I get it. Sometimes I go too far. Mark is speaking the gospel now. That's funny, Robbie. Yeah, I think in the end, look, and I want to go to Mr. Thomas V. Did I get a new Ohio State? I didn't, Mr. Thomas V. I got to get a new Ohio State shirt. I got to get a new Michigan shirt too, but that's a different story. So I want to say this. Fenderman 73 says Santana messes up when he thinks about what he's playing. Yeah, well, maybe he's done a few too many. Yeah, and for Ron says the major scale is the backbone to music. So here's the thing. What Ron just said is maybe the most important. You have to find out what's going to work for you to create something of your own. And there's lots of different routes to get there. If you listen to some of the people who were trailblazers, a lot of them had to develop it themselves. If you listen to like Neil Young or Wes Montgomery or George Benson, a lot of it was listening and then trying, or Guthrie Govan or whatever, a lot of it was listening and trying to play what they heard. Not somebody's lick necessarily, but maybe a melody or what have you. Other people went more of a theoretical route. But, something that Wes Montgomery said that I think makes a lot of sense. And he was talking about Tal Farlow, who was a player, I don't know if you know him, but he was a great jazz player. And they asked Wes Montgomery about, what his approach was. And he said, well, you could take, and the way that Wes Montgomery would have said it, you can take a cat like Tal Farlow, and you could play what he does, and you could learn a lot from him, and you could probably spend all of your life trying to play like Tal Farlow, and maybe you'd get there, maybe you wouldn't. But at the end of the day, you would probably be a poor Tal Farlow copy. And the root of learning yourself and learning your own way, taking your own ideas and saying, hey, this sounds good, is a longer route. There's no question it takes longer. But when you come up with your own ideas, they're yours, you own them, and that's your view of how the instrument works and how you communicate with it. And that's really what it's all about. And to me, that's way more fun. And you know, I've done them both. I've opened books and I learn other people's licks. God knows I do that, right? And all that's good. But it's most satisfying when I can sit and play with other musicians and just kind of play what's in my what I'm thinking and what I think sounds cool, and listening to others play. So anyway, it's all good. I just really enjoy that. And so to help you get there, if you learn Caged and it helps you get there, Caged is a way of thinking that helps, and that's a great foundation. If you learn the major scale, Ron said the major scale is a foundation for him. Great. You learn the major scale, you learn that well. That's a foundation for launching all your own ideas. But don't use it as a straitjacket. Just because you learn a system doesn't mean you have to always use that system. It's just the one thing you can fall back on it, and it maybe makes your life easier or whatever to do that. But just don't use it as a straitjacket, right? Don't be a slave to it. Don't be a slave to it. All right. Okay. Okay, thanks, Kieran. Yeah, I sometimes feel I'm ranting. You know, geez, we've been going on for an hour and 15 minutes. This is my short one. Bertrand Douglas says, I think Santana's pretty much pentatonic. That's it. Well, if you think about scales, I think you're actually wrong. He uses Dorian a lot, but if you think scales are how you make music, then maybe. But I guarantee you, when Santana plays a note, he knows what it's going to sound like before he plays it. He chooses notes very wisely. Yeah. I guarantee that. He's one of the few people. And the other thing is, like him or don't like him, you hear one note from a Santana solo, you know it's Santana without hearing it. Or it's what's the other, Iolanthe or whatever her name is, the one who copies him so much. But it used to be you hear one note and you say, oh, that's Santana. Just like you hear one thing of you hear a Keith Richards chord, you're like, man, that's Keith Richards, right? Or you hear Stevie Ray Vaughan, it's like, oh yeah, it's Stevie. Now again, there's so many clones now, but it's different. All right. Yep. Yeah. So Mitch, that's good theory to know. So if you're about to retire and you're just a bedroom player, he says, I try to learn in my old age theory like the 1, 3, 5 in a major scale. What chords make up a major scale and a minor scale. So it's the scale, the chords relate to the scale, not usually the other way around, but of course you can think about it the other way around as well. I think maybe if you think of the scale first, kind of what Ron was saying. If you learn the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, you know that. If you learn that, then the 1, 3, and 5 is a major chord. The 1 flat 3 and 5 is a minor chord. The 1 flat 3 flat 5 is a diminished chord. And the 1, 3 sharp 5 is an augmented chord, and that's triad theory right there. And that's all the chords they ever need for the basic stuff. But and then if you harmonize every one, you harmonize the first degree of the scale, second degree of the scale, third degree of the scale, that'll tell you a lot about harmony and put you on your way. But again, learn that, and then that's it. Don't go crazy. Then play a bunch of stuff. Learn just a little bit, then play a bunch of stuff until you get comfortable with it. Another thing that you can do is learn triads, majors and minors, on just 3 strings. I'm big on that one. Everybody knows I'm really big on that. Choose the 4, 3, and 2 strings and learn all the major triads of, say, a C. Learn how to play C 3 different ways up the neck. And then learn how to play a G 3 different ways. Just on those 3 strings. G major. And then do minors. Just do majors, minors. And you will be amazed at how much you see the fretboard, how much better you'll see the fretboard, how much you'll see the possibilities of going from one to another. uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yes, I agree, Robbie. Santana's one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites. L. Fermi, just like baby kids, you listen and try to copy. Sometimes you can't quite copy correctly, and that actually helps create your own personality. Yep. I'm a big believer in getting the sound in the ballpark. It's good to try and sound a little bit like Clapton or Freddie King or Choose Your Hero and try and Jeff Beck and try and do that, but then move on your own. Clapton says he can sometimes play what he hears in his head, but not all the time. I think that's most people. That's most people. Even some of the great players can't always get it in their head. I guarantee Santana's one of those people who can though, and like Coltrane was well known for doing that. G Mac, I play one note and say everybody, not this guy again. Guitar Pilgrim, I will. Oh, Guitar Pilgrim. So that guy, it's interesting. That guy works really hard on his videos. Great sound. That guy's got really good articulation. He's clearly a good player, really good player. I think his videos are like the way he starts out. He's clearly scripted it up so much, but you can tell how much work he's put into those videos. For me, they sound a little bit cheesy, and the whole thing. Why BB King kicks ass? Why Keith Richard kicks ass? I think that's kind of funny, but it works for him, right? He's doing really well, and good for him. Good for him. All right, El Rondo, great having you on. All right, yeah, Guitar Pilgrim is good stuff for sure. Brian from Active Melody says he only knows a major and minor pentatonic, and he makes some good sounding stuff. Yes, Mr. Thomas V. Brian from Active Melody, he is a good player. He's a good teacher too. I like his style. He's not flashy. Very seems like he's very humble. Sticks to blues. Sticks to blues. All right. Okay. Anyway, well, we'll see. When Al Fermi says my advice when interrupt, pick up a kazoo and remember how fun music can be without beating yourself up. That is true. That is so true, Elf. It is so true. Yeah, TBA, you're right. It's good clickbait to say why somebody kicks ass, right? Yeah. Oh well. Maybe it should be like, and Robbie Love says it's hard to be original on YouTube anymore. That's true. Maybe you should be like Spinal Tap and be the new originals. We were going to be the originals, and then we were going to be the new originals, but then we thought, what's the point? Okay, okay, brothers and sisters, probably mostly brothers. Uh, I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna get in the car and go to Connecticut, and hopefully have a real good week there. I'll see you. I'll see you next Sunday, and we'll get back to blues again. Remembering Neal Peart. So listen to put on some Rush and remember the good old days and enjoy. Enjoy. Thanks for spending your Sunday with me. Always appreciate it. Always have a good time here and enjoy your company. So until next time, we will see you on down the road. Thanks for everybody new who showed up and all the old geezer favorites along with me. All right. Okay. Hey, don't forget to put anything that you want to do in the comments, and we'll talk about it. All right. See y'all. Thanks.